Good morning.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Good morning.
All right. Chase, did you get a new light?
I did. How's it look, man?
The coloring looks different. It looks
Yeah.
more natural.
What do you think, dude? You like let's see. Let's go some modes here. That's lighter, really light, super light, orange.
Too
Wait,
orange.
right there?
That one's good.
Right there? All right.
Solid. You
Yeah, I like it. Thank you, man.
guys are all seeing behind the curtain what we talk
Oh, are
about when
we
we're not
on?
on daily
Is it
growth.
left?
Lighting. All right. Well, let's get started. What a amazing weekend. Who has some gratitude that they would like to share? Who or what are you grateful for? As a reminder, we like to start our calls with gratitude. It's a great way to start the day with intention. Get your Raz firing off. Who's up?
I'm grateful for great veterinary care.
I think I heard you say veterinarian care.
Yeah, yeah. Our dog's blind in one eye, and so we have to give her drops. She was a rescue, so she had some type of trauma, and she's got glaucoma in that eye, and so the pressure was really bad when we got her. And the last year and a half, we've been giving her drops, and it's come down to a very manageable, healthy level, and we're really happy.
Awesome.
Grateful.
Thanks for sharing. Who else wants to share? Who or what are you grateful for this morning?
I'm
Well,
grateful.
I'm
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I'm grateful for getting to spend time with friends this week and celebrating a birthday. Uh, Friday celebrated someone's life uh, and got in a ton of miles, 50 miles total.
Wow. Thanks for the
Is that
update,
on a
Teresa.
bike or
Oh, go ahead.
run?
On a mountain bike.
Oh, okay, okay. Whew. One of the motorized ones, right?
I'm assuming
She
she's saying
muted,
no.
but I think she was saying no.
Teresa.
Well, I'm grateful for mothers. I have my grandma who's 88 and my mom, so I'm really grateful to have them in my life.
Love that. Couldn't agree more. All right. Chase, on Friday, we had a little bit different, call it conversation. We went away from business and we went into the mind and the kind of awareness. So what do we talk about on Friday?
Yeah, I think we broke down chapter one from the Wisdom of Sundays. So if you weren't there, you missed a good one. You can go check the recording in our Facebook group anytime. Those are always up. Just a good reminder for that. I won't post the link because I'll probably post the wrong one again. But yeah, the chapter was Oprah Winfrey's interviewing Michael Singer, who wrote The Untethered Soul. And there was kind of two things, like, the voice in your head is not you. That was one. And then the other one was the thorn, that a lot of us carry around. We all have thorns that are all over, and kind of ways that you can deal with the thorn that might be in your side. So that would be like a touchy subject. For example, something that might come up is maybe if I don't know, if you had a bad experience in high school, every time someone mentions high school, you could be disturbed, emotionally or in some way. Um, and it's like, how do you actually deal with that so you can move on from it instead of having it control your life? So,
Yeah, you told like the monk story too about like carrying the lady in the
yeah.
river, which was good. Did anybody have any thoughts or aha moments that they considered over the weekend? I know it was a deep one, so
Yeah, I
think
thought
it's just
that
great.
that was great. It just I remember one thing standing out of uh letting things go, and I can't quite remember some of the tips on letting things go, but being present in all moments is one way to just, there is no past and there's no future, just now. And
Mm.
but I thought that topic was great because how we show up in real estate has a lot to do with how we are in life.
It's a great takeaway.
Yeah, just kind of building on Bree about staying present, and being aware, but also like acceptance being a huge part of staying present. Uh, not resisting emotions or feelings, but accepting them and letting them go, um, and returning to the present as soon as possible.
Yeah, really, there is only the present too, right? That's the piece that I took out of it, which is really interesting to wrap your brain around. There's really not the past doesn't exist and neither does the future. The only thing that really exists is like right now. It's weird. I thought about it
Yeah,
all weekend actually. Through Mother's Day, I was just like, how do I just be in this moment? And because I'm such a futuristic person, I'm always thinking about the future. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I rarely live in the moment. That's crazy to think about. By the way, that's my son. He's here with us. So he's out.
Sneaking out the back there.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
so
out, man.
We got
that
a
show
glimpse of little Brent.
that show Quarterback, that was on Netflix like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
um, the Kurt Warner, there's a scene from that show where Kurt Warner has like he's watching something on his phone, and then he's got these nodes connected to his head, and whenever he let his mind go away from what he was focusing on the screen would like fade to black, and it was like an exercise of
Uh-oh, he froze.
He stopped thinking about us.
kind of tripped me out to see like you need that to operate at a very high level.
I love that. We missed a little bit of that, but I think the catch was like if you're not focused on something, it was gonna dip out. All right. Anyone else got anything before we move on to today? Okay, well let's dig in. We like to talk about things that affect the market on Mondays. And we were just talking about like, is there anything that's changed recently that maybe we should deep dive on, or something we haven't deep dived on in a while? And we landed on a legislation change that absolutely impacts people that are buying and selling real estate. Not everyone, but it's certainly something that, the more you know about it, the more you can help the people in your world, and you might even be able to create some business from people you wouldn't know. So what are we
I
talking
would even
about?
add to it, you can help yourself.
That's probably the biggest one, especially as you start making your own income. This is a massive tool to help yourself. So what is the tool, Brent?
The tool is called bonus depreciation. Is there anybody on the call that, I mean, just by maybe a digital raise of hands, that has never heard of it, who doesn't know what we're talking about? I'm asking. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. I want to add a little context to what bonus depreciation is, and then we can talk through like how to use it. First of all, Chase, like I think of investing and I think of cash flow and I think of appreciation. So what is this depreciation thing? with real
Yeah.
estate? Like how come you can benefit from appreciation, but then the government also lets you look at depreciation?
Well, I'll set this with the foundation of something I learned from what's the guy's name? The tax-free wealth, Tom Wheelwright, right?
Tom Wheelwright. Yep.
Something he says is that the tax code is literally just incentives, right? It's what the government wants you to do. That's how the tax code was derived. So they want you to create jobs. They want you to provide more housing, right? So because of that, they offer incentives, and they're oftentimes extremely complex. But let's just start with depreciation. They allow you, when you purchase real estate, even though the asset goes up in value, even though you might be making money every single month, they allow you to depreciate certain things inside the home itself. So this could be appliances. This could be like things that would deteriorate over time that you actually have to replace, right? If you're buying single family, this is typically on a 27.5 year schedule. If you're buying commercial, it's a 39-year schedule. But this is why, in case you weren't aware, and some of you know this probably even better than I do, but in case you weren't aware, I'm just going to start from a foundational perspective. Let's say you could put your money in a bank right now and get 5% in a CD. Okay. You buy a certificate deposit, you have to own it for a year, and they will give you your money plus 5% back 1 year from today. So your money's making 5%. Now, why would you want to take the headaches to make 5% real estate? You've got risk and headache and all this other stuff. Well, depreciation is that thing, right? Because if you put $1 million in the bank and make 5%, that's 50,000 of income. If you put $1 million into real estate and make 5%, it's 50,000 in income, but you get to depreciate the asset. So you get to write off 1/27th of the asset. So if you take that, let's just use that $1 million scenario, Brent. And again, we'll build into bonus depreciation here in 2 seconds, okay? So if you take $1 million divided by 27, you get to write off $37,000, which means of the 50 grand you made, the government's only going to recognize 13,000. So you're only paying taxes on 13,000 of income. Does everyone understand that? Whereas the certificate of deposit, you're going to pay taxes on 50,000 of income because there's nowhere to hide. So that's one of the biggest reasons why people like to invest in real estate, is because there's natural tax benefits through that. And we're only talking about one, the depreciation side. So you also can write off, your interest expenses. Now you can even write off your mortgage, your MPI or MIP. What is it called, Brent?
The
Mortgage interest premium.
Yeah, PMI.
Mortgage insurance premium. Sorry, PMI. There you go. So you can even write that off now. You used to not be able to do that. That's new. Okay, go ahead, David.
I was going to say, does the appreciation have to be recaptured when the property is sold?
So he's asking a recapture question.
Of depreciation.
Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, so I always urge people to talk to their CPA.
Yes,
But there are recapture. They're not going to let you depreciate something, sell for a profit, and then not recapture the tax on that depreciation. So basically, what they'll do is they'll say, you depreciated X amount of dollars, so the recapture just comes back as regular income. But a lot of times that's why people do what's called a 1031 exchange to avoid that.
Or they use bonus depreciation.
Or they use bonus depreciation on the next purchase,
which is actually a really interesting tool. So let's talk about bonus depreciation. What's the difference between depreciation and bonus depreciation? Bonus depreciation allows you to accelerate the depreciation of the property. So instead of using a 27.5 year schedule, you might be able to take roughly 30 or 40 or 50 or 60% of the value. Different assets can operate in different ways. You might be able to take a big chunk of the value and actually depreciate it immediately. And you do that through what's called a cost segregation study.
And
So
what the study does, guys, is it identifies what's a 5 year, 7 year, and 15 year depreciation item, and then everything else is in a different bundle, and you can take those 5, 7, and 15 year depreciation numbers, and you can take it all in year one. Meaning, well, here's the caveat, and I don't want to get too complicated, but you can take it all in year one if you have investment gains that it could go against, or if you're what's called a real estate, you participate in real estate, which means that you have more than 750 hours in real estate, or more than 50% of your working time goes towards real estate. You can actually take that depreciation against active income. So for real estate agents, that's a really big deal. And I think let's end the conversation there. Let's put a pin in that part. But
yeah, yeah, we'll come back to that.
yeah,
So let's go back to the $1 million scenario. You buy $1 million property, and let's just say if you do a cost segregation study, someone goes out and they look at it, or I think you can even do manual ones now. You can do like your own online, right, Brent?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So everybody write this down, DIYcostseg.com. And that's, you can, for like $500, you can do your own cost segregation on residential. I wouldn't recommend it on commercial. I would get a real cost segregation study, but for residential or fourplexes, things like that, great. Great
Yeah.
option.
Yeah. So we'll end on the real estate agent thing. We'll make sure we have like 7 minutes for that, and then we'll open it up for questions or thoughts or comments. So let's use that $1 million scenario now. Let's just say for fun, 40% of the depreciation can happen immediately. It can be bonus depreciated. By the way, I'm not to confuse you, but the reason we're talking about this has been around for quite a while. This has been around for like, I don't know, 7, 8 years, something like that, maybe longer. But it went away. It was sliding away. And recently, just I think this year, they maybe in the last 12 months, they brought it back. They
Yeah.
brought it back to be 100%. It was scaling away. So it was 100, then it was 80, then 60, then 40. And now they just said, nope, we're bringing it all the way back to 100%. So you get bonus depreciation. Let's just say you do the cost seg study and it says 40% of the asset can be depreciated in year one. That means in year one, instead of that $37,000, which was 127 of the asset, instead of the 37 grand, now you have $400,000 in losses year one. Now, these are passive losses, by the way. So you can use them against passive gains. So for example, if someone maybe owned an investment property and they sold it and they had a $400,000 gain, and then they bought $1 million property and bonus depreciated and had a $400,000 loss, they've now paid zero in taxes. Those offset. Does that make sense? Someone
Elijah's
shaking their head
saying no.
Basically, okay, I'll just walk through it again a little slower. If you owned a real estate investment and you go to sell it and you made $400,000, you tracking me there? If you did nothing, you're going to have to pay capital gains on $400,000. But if you went that same year and you bought the $1 million property and you did a cost segregation study and it decided that you had 40% or 400 grand in losses, now the 400 grand and 400 grand offset. Done. I'm seeing nodding now. So
Yep.
That's good. I got one more
That's a
person.
really basic example because, investors can realize gains from multiple properties, and then one cost segregation study can offset the taxes they would have paid on those multiple gains. Not even from selling, just gains, investment gains. So,
Okay. Now, we'll say this a second time, and this is being recorded, so don't try and get us. But we're not accountants, so yeah, mileage may vary. Talk to your accountant. Okay. What is the significance of real estate as a professional, Brent? How does that change things?
so when you are a licensed real estate agent, there's an automatic assumption that you're putting in 750 hours plus into real estate.
Which
Once
makes
you've
you real estate as a professional.
real estate as a professional. Once you've met that milestone, then you can take that depreciation against active income instead of passive income. So
Yeah. Real
money
estate
you
as a
earn
professional
actively.
can
Yeah.
take a passive loss against active income.
So we are uniquely positioned in our profession to build a real estate portfolio and limit, almost negate your tax liability.
So,
So go ahead.
yeah, let me give an example. So let's just say I go buy $1 million property and I get a $400,000 loss, and my income for the year was 400,000, but I have no, that's my income from real estate, my commissions, but I have no losses, or I have nothing to wipe out in real estate. All I have is my active income. My $400,000 loss can actually wipe out my active income for the year up to 400 grand.
Well, and here's where it gets interesting. Let's say you only made 300. You can carry the other 100 forward to the next year.
Yes.
So,
So let me give you a really interesting example. So you're saying chase $1 million property, cool. I don't have $1 million. Okay. That's the other cool thing about real estate. This is another reason why real estate as an investment vehicle is so popular, is because you can leverage against real estate, right? So, I've heard what did we just hear, Brent? Someone was buying an investment property with like how much down? It was a low amount. Was it 5% or 10%?
I think it was 10.
Okay, 10. Let's just use 10. So I have a $400,000. This is a hypothetical scenario, okay? I made 400 grand of my income, or you have to do it in the same year, right? So it's September. It looks like I'm going to end the year making 400 grand. After I write all my crap off, I'm going to make 400 grand. Okay.
You've
I
been
can,
putting money away like a
yeah,
smart real estate agent into
of
your
course.
tax account.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
30% is probably what people would recommend. So that's 120,000. Now, if I'm staring at a $400,000 gain, I'm probably going to owe the government around 40%. That's 160,000 bucks. Okay. So I can write the check to the government because they're such a good steward of our money and I know it's going to go to good things. Or I could also just say, you know what? I can put 10% down on an investment that's $1 million and get a $400,000 loss. So I put 100 grand down and I now own an investment. I wiped out my income for the year, so I'm paying no taxes. So in that scenario, that hypothetical scenario, I invest 100 to save 160. So I actually made $60,000 and I own an investment property. You guys tracking? Now,
Yeah, and
again,
what
I'm not an
what
accountant. Mileage may vary.
so what people do in those scenarios is or what you can do is instead of going out and buying $1 million property, if you've saved up 120, you can figure out what property you need to buy in order to offset your taxes, and you can buy a lower valued property so with more down, so you can basically buy cash flow and offset your taxes at the same time instead of getting yourself into a large investment that's not cash flowing. So there's a way to
Lots of
formulate
strategies.
it, and I'm happy to share a spreadsheet I have with you guys that will show you depreciation, appreciation, cash flow, all the things in one place. You basically put in the deal and it will tell you what your percentage of return is on year one, year two, year three, year four, all calculating in bonus depreciation. So I'm happy to share that with the group.
Now here's something that's crazy, dude. People come to me with 1031s and they've never heard of bonus depreciation. They've never heard of this as a tool. So I'm telling you, as real estate agents, like, okay, let's talk about 1031, just high level. We can spend a whole session on it if you guys want, but 1031, basically, you have to, in this, you sell a property. Once it goes under contract, or once it closes, you have 45 days to identify. Then you have 180 days to close. And you have to buy the same amount or more. You have to, there's like a couple buckets. You can determine multiple properties, but they have to be over a certain amount, or you can determine one property. You can identify, what is it? How many can you identify? Is it unlimited? I can't
Uh,
remember.
I don't
Here's
know.
what I see happen though with
But you have to do
1031s.
like in kind as well, right? Like
Correct.
you have to be similar type
Yep.
property.
And if you borrow, you have to borrow the same or more. So Kyle's saying he paid zero in federal taxes because of this. And by the way, a lot of people I know don't pay any money in taxes, and they own a lot of real estate. I didn't say anyone's names. Some of them raise their hand. Um, yeah, what up? There's a couple people. So the scenario I wanted to bring up in terms of how to use this as a tool is, guys, there's so many ways that you can approach this. Like if I go do a 1031, I'm locked into that bucket. But if I do bonus depreciation, now I'm not locked within that bucket.
Well,
I
and you
can go
have all
after whatever
year, as
property I
long as
want.
the event happens in the year that you made the
Yep.
gain, you have a lot of time, so you don't feel under pressure. Plus, the gain can come from other investments. It doesn't even have to be real estate related investments. So if you realize a gain from an investment, you can offset that
Yeah.
through bonus depreciation, cost segregation.
I got a question. Um, so all these, a lot of people have low rates and they're holding on to their primary home.
Hey,
At
David,
what
turn your
point,
video. David,
or
turn
if
your video
ever,
off. You're
Turn your
breaking up
video
a little
off.
bit.
We've got a bad connection with you, dude. Yep. Go ahead.
okay. So people who have a low rate that keep their primary home and buy another home to as their primary, does the depreciation or bonus depreciation apply to the home that was once their primary, and if so, when?
Once you start
Yeah,
making income.
yeah. So the answer is yes, but you'll only be able to bonus depreciate off of the original purchase price. So it's the
Okay.
original purchase price, and it's based on the date you put it into service, is what they call. So into service means, when did you collect your first rent check? Now it's in service. And so
Okay. All right.
that's how they'll, yeah. So you can, I think that's a great thing to bring up, is a lot of people have these primary residents with low rates. They're like, man, maybe I don't want to sell it. It's a phenomenal tool as a real estate agent, especially to keep your primary, buy a new house, and offset your taxes.
So here's a tip. This is actually some homework for you guys. If you're like, I kind of think I get it, or you're like, maybe you're like, damn, I understand this. Either way, I would go into some sort of AI, whatever AI you use. And I actually, I don't know. I've only used ChatGPT, but in Gemini and the other ones, can you just talk to it back and forth?
Yeah, the function's a little wonky on those.
Okay, okay.
Chat is the easiest to talk into, for sure.
Okay. So when you're driving, instead of listening to music or something, take like 20 minutes and just, I like topics like this for understanding better. So just turn your AI on and be like, hey, I want to understand as a real estate agent how I can utilize bonus depreciation better to find more clients and understand it at a high level. Like, walk me through it. And then it's going to say something. You're going to have a question. Just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's a really great way to, master a topic, in my opinion,
It's
or
like
at
a
least
book on
understand it.
tape, except for you get to ask it questions in between.
Yes. Yeah. And it keeps you engaged.
Mhm.
What
And this
other
might be a
questions do
good
you guys have?
opportunity.
Go ahead,
I was
David.
gonna say this might be a good opportunity to connect with like a vendor of yours or a CPA or a tax professional to help you put together some type of material to send out to your database.
That's amazing. Great idea.
Yeah, I'll tell you, some of the clients who are coached on this regularly are doctors. So when I say doctor, I mean like any doctor, like dentist, orthodontist, chiropractor, like these kind of people. They actually have these incomes that are really high, and they have nowhere to figure out how to lower it. I'll tell you a quick story about an investor I had in a former life. This investor was from New Mexico, and his wife was a real estate agent, and he owned a some sort of trash company, like think like the garbage companies. And his goal was to lose $5 million that year. And because his wife was a real estate as a professional, he made investments, and she was able to use the passive losses against the active income of the whole house. So she was effectively the worst realtor in the history of realtors. I think she lost like 5 million bucks. But This is an interesting tool. So if you know high income people, like we're in a mastermind group with some high income earners, and one of them is having his wife get licensed because his business doesn't allow him to actually, there's not really anywhere to hide the income. So his wife's licensed, and now they're investing in real estate to offset income. So it's a really, you can literally create clients this way. So if you know high net worth individuals, they have a lot of income and they're wanting to save on taxes, they probably don't know a lot about this strategy.
Couldn't agree more.
Is there proof required? You know, you said 750 hours. What does that look like when it comes to showing those hours?
Document, again, this is another thing, talk to a CPA. By the way, like when we're saying talk to a CPA, like get your CPA to come up with a plan that they will defend you in an audit on. That's what we mean by talk to a CPA. So if you have a client that's really taking this seriously, like that's another thing I think all of you should do. If you want to go down this path deeper, you should go find a great CPA that understands this. Very few of them understand it at a high level.
Just
Very few.
ask them if they understand the tax-free wealth strategies. And if they don't understand that, the book is called Tax-Free Wealth, by the way. If they don't understand that, then you're probably working with the wrong CPA. So, but let's end with that. Like, here's a book, guys, to write this down if you want to learn more about tax mitigation and how to leverage it to get more clients. The book is called Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. One of the best books you can read as it pertains to like reducing your tax liability and then also helping other people understand it.
Brent, was this called bonus depreciation or appreciation?
Yes. Bonus depreciation.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, it is 9:32. So we're a couple minutes over. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.